A lot of people are moving from the previous session over, but some people might need a moment to go from one to the next. So welcome, everyone. Hopefully, I was promising people we had plenty of room at the venue. I think we do. Depends if we have. So we can show up. For expectations, I also want to just emphasize to people that there's no structured content. This is very much going to be like a social free-form conversation. There's no presentation, etc. If you're here to see someone go through a bunch of slides in the wrong place, go find another slide deck.
Do you have Vince, do you have like, I know you put together like a regular kind of like stream of demos that you collect and post to.
I do have demos. Do I have demo news?
Do you have demos? Like, has everyone seen Vince's sort of latest haul?
Right. Okay, I do not have a fresh demo deck for you. I don't. I have been posting on LinkedIn because I gave up on Twitter and I'm not cool enough to use Mastodon and all that. So I was just like, whatever. So Alex has seen a couple of recent things I've posted on LinkedIn, which happen to be things that are like near in my space. But yeah, we could ramble through some of them. That could be a good unstructured thing we can do. So, okay, probably, we might have a few more people trickle in. My name is Vince Scheib. I work on Chrome. I've been doing Chrome for a while. We have this Fugu mascot effort, right? And so the descriptive term for Fugu is that we want the web to not just be an awesome platform, but to be specifically an awesome platform for applications. And it is a bit of a rebranding of a previous word we used called Fizz, which I blame Alex Russell for. But we had to pick a code name and move forward. And before there was Fizz, we had a brief, slightly off web experience called Chrome Apps, which did a lot of these things. And before that, we had Google Gears. I like to remind people about Google Gears. So if you needed functionality that was more advanced on the web, like your location, SQL database, offline storage, a variety of things, workers, right? So Google Gears was there before Chrome and was helping make applications more appy. So there's a very long history. There's also, we were just talking about standards. In the W3C, there's a web apps working group, which has a significant overlap, but not one-to-one with things people do in the room. So welcome to a very fuzzy room and a fuzzy definition. But we get excited when we see like Visual Studio Code running, a full coding in IDE in the web.
Who's seen VS Code on the web?
Awesome.
Okay.
We get excited when we see Adobe moving more of their product line onto the web. So Photoshop is, ramping up its capabilities on the web, and that's actually an example people use a lot. Well, the web can do a lot of things, right? But it wouldn't be able to run Photoshop. Well, it can now. There are some things that definitely are not happening in the next year. So last night I was playing a video game called Valorant, and I want games on the web. The web can do a lot of games. It cannot do that particular game yet, and that's okay. So if that is what you're interested in, you're in the right room. We do have regular meetings, which I put in the description of this session. Let me go copy paste that text real quick. So we do have regular community sync meetings across multiple companies working on this effort. And here is the text I put into, hang on. Here we go. Hopefully people can see this bits. So we have a bit.ly link for Fugu Sync. We run these roughly monthly, and we try to accommodate both Europe and Asia time zones. And often in recent times, a lot of the people showing up are from Microsoft, Intel, and Google. We've had Samsung in there occasionally as well. It's been something we've been doing for quite some time. But it is nice when we're at an event like this to get in person. There's a lot more people in the room today than we typically have on one of these video calls. And my focus today is some unstructured chats and just social introductions. And then we're going to transition into lunch, which is a good time to carry on and continue conversations like that. So did not size up. I was not sure how many people were gonna be here. How many do we have online? We've got a lot. We have 15-ish people who are on the video call, I think. Which we can maybe pull off an extremely quick lightning round around the room. So let's do it. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna keep it really short. So who are you? What is your name? Speak loudly enough that people can hear you and slowly enough that people can understand you. What area of the web platform are you currently hacking on? You can tell us the company that helps pay your lunch bill. And in Alex's theme, like if you have a recent win on the web that you think pushes the boundary of what we can do, and you want to shout out a demo or just something that you saw recently that made you happy, why don't you mention one of those? So I'm gonna have us do the physical room first because it's a little easier. Then I'm gonna run through the virtual room. I'm gonna start with an example myself, and then we're just gonna run clockwise because. And here we go. So I'm Vincent Scheib. I work on capabilities on the web platform, mostly supporting the installable PWA space, the isolated web apps space, supporting the device API team and the web audio team. Google pays my bills. And one of the things I'm excited about recently is that Pixel Buds, which are these AirPod-like things, right? So those are now fully configurable and firmware updatable across Mac, Windows, and Chrome OS on the web, which is pretty neat.
Hi, I'm Riley. I used to report to Vince. Now I mostly focus on bringing ML acceleration capabilities to web apps. But in my former life, working more closely with Fugu-related projects, I built WebUSB and Web Serial, as well as helping with a number of the other APIs into the Fugu umbrella. My favorite sort of Fugu-y app right now is I'm a bit of a sucker for defunct media formats. I like to listen to all my music on mini disc, which is going to replace CDs someday. And there's a web app created by a really wonderfully vibrant community of fellow mini disc enthusiasts that lets me use WebUSB and the File System Access API to transfer music to and from my little discs.
All right, I'm Dan. I'm the TL of the PWA area, and I guess some of the random things that we're supposed to own, like background sync. But mostly work on PWA stuff. I also at Google. Favorite PWA. I feel like I'm just so boring. I love to have calendar as a PWA. Just because I always need to look at it, and being able to just like control tab directly to that is the best.
Great.
Yeah, I'm Andre. I mostly work on bindings these days, also on Chrome DevTools protocol and headless. And I work for Google.
I'm Matt Reynolds. I work on Google Chrome, device APIs. I'm excited about cloud gaming.
Myself, Alex. I work on the Chrome DevTools protocol and Chrome driver. Something recently I pulled off is actually implementing Bluetooth emulation support for Chrome DevTools protocols and all the way plumbed to WebDriver Byte, so excited about that.
Cool.
I'm Marin. I work on the PWA team at Google and Chrome, focusing some other Mac things, but other things too. And I guess that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'm Divya. I work with Dan, and Vince is my manager. So I work at Google Chrome on progressive web apps. One of the things we recently launched was making all sites installable as PWS, which is like pretty cool.
Cool. My name is Calvin. Slack pays my bills, and I am a maintainer on Electron, so I'm a little downstream.
I'm David Sanders. I'm also a maintainer on Electron. As of last week, Microsoft pays my bills. And thank you. And I'm enjoying that Electron continues to improve its support for stuff like Web USB and file system access and all that. So, and I'll help with that going forward.
I'm Alex Russell. I'm a product manager. So I work on writing documents. And
That is good for that.
at Microsoft. And yeah, I guess because I'm a product manager, I use Outlook as a PWA, so it's kind of my life.
I'm Sam Gotu. I've been also known as a product manager, but technically a software engineer. Work at Google, and excited about helping users manage their accounts online. In my past life, I did web OTP on the Fugu team in parts of idle detection.
I'm Alisa Maher. I'm the engineering manager on Microsoft Edge, and my team owns layout, style, and accessibility. And I'm pretty excited about the RE Notify API, which I gave a talk on yesterday.
I'm Sam Davis. I'm Davis Omika. I work under Alison in the layout and styles team as well. And I'm pretty excited about streaming on the web, so Twitch, YouTube, stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Yannick. I'm a startup founder. I previously sold my startup like half a year ago, and now very new to the community and just like exploring the web space.
I'm Kurt from Microsoft. I work on layout, CSS, all kinds of stuff in the web platform. Thing I'm most excited about is CSS modules, which I'll be giving a talk about later. Not very Fugu-y, but excited to plug it.
I'm Robbie. I work for Google on isolated web apps.
I'm Sanket. I work for Microsoft, mostly in the rendering space, but related to Fugu. Also, do work in Clipboard. Clipboard has been a painful space, to say the least. But the thing that's exciting is anytime we ship something in Clipboard, it gets adopted by major web properties pretty quickly. So
I'm going to bump it over to Johnny.
All right, my name is Johnny Stemick. I work for Google. I lead some of the standards and interrupt tooling kind of efforts that you've heard some about this week. A thing that I was excited about recently, which isn't new, Web USB, because I had, for various reasons, ended up with a large power switch that had some really, really terrible firmware. And it turns out you can, with a little bit of soldering, you can just use Web USB and reprogram the thing.
I'm Kadir Sapal at Google, a PM on the web platform team. And what I work on is identifying developer needs in a public way, then accelerating interoperability for those developer needs, and finally making it clear to developers on the web platform what is available to them and how powerful the web actually is. That's pretty much.
So I'm Ethan Jimenez. I'm from Edge web platform team. Recently, I have been mostly focusing on layout, coming from Grid. Now I'm kind of like pretty invested into Masonry. I will have a talk later today. And I'm pretty excited about a lot of streaming, which is like a gateway for cloud gaming, which is going to be pretty exciting.
I'm Penny. I'm a product manager on Chrome. Previously worked on progressive web apps and now working on UI capabilities and all things web UI.
I'm Andy Lures. I'm a PM on Edge, mostly working on our the Windows WebView, WebView 2, and spending more and more time on WebPlat stuff. I'm most excited about the fact that I can run VS Code in a container on my Linux server and just connect to that, install it as PWA, and be like remotely coding on a Linux server without dealing with Linux.
Yeah, I'm Steve Becker. I'm an engineering manager at Microsoft. Recently, my team has contributed to storage, file system, and SDE. as well as gamepad and some audio. I'm also excited about VS Code, and I'm recently adopting the file system observer, which I think is scrolled slightly off screen from these notes.
Hi, my name is Donghyun Kim, and I work for LG Electronics, and I'm working on developing WebOS, and I'm interested in WebNN.
Hi, I'm Thomas. I'm with Xperi, and I work in the TV space in general.
I'm Megan Perez, and I lead the book platform and apps team for Microsoft Edge. Also excited about VS Code. I worked in Visual Studio for about first 18 years of my career, so I'm excited to see that move more web versus massive client.
Robert Byers. I work on Chrome. I work on a bunch of different things, but including stuff in the transaction space, identity and payments and stuff. And so one of the coolest things I saw recently is a couple of us worked with Capital One to use or maybe abuse the WebNFC API so that you could do a secure, like cryptographically secure payment on the web by just tapping your card to your phone. Kind of neat. It's pretty cool. Yeah, bypasses the gatekeepers who might be in the middle.
Extremely cool.
Hey guys, my name's Kyle, and I work on the Interop team under Johnny, and I also work really closely with Kadir. And I used to work under Rick back in the World office. My team will be working on miscellaneous things. For example, the area notified. You talk about the origin trials. That'll be my team. We work on origin trials, websites.dev. We have web platform test, also home status. So, yeah.
So fantastic introduction to our team. Yes, I also work on the Interop tooling team. My name is Daniel Smith, and work in Google as well on under Johnny and with Kyle.
Howard Woloski, engineering manager on Microsoft Edge. My team is focused on web apps, devices, and sensors. And I love the fact that web apps can be extended with extensions, so end users can just fix the problems that app developers never get around to fixing.
I'm Deepthi. I lead WebAssembly standardization at Google. My really fun example for a demo recently was a talk demo that I saw that uses WASM Whisper in the browser, synthesizes speech, and then it uses a different model then to transcribe them into sentences, and then you could use the web speech API to just say all of those things back to you. Seemed like superfluous things, and it was just really fun to do the round trip of how much compute can you use to do one thing.
Cool. Hi, my name is Lu Huang. I'm from Microsoft Edge. I used to work on progressive web apps. I still work on progressive web apps, but I'm also excited to learn more about device and sensor APIs.
Cool. All right, now it gets tricky. There's people on video, and I have no idea how to organize you to talk in order.
Alex, could you go to the people list and just call in people whenever they appear on your screen?
Eileen?
I think Eileen is one of the AV
organizers.
Yeah. So may not.
Alvin G. If you're with us.
Hi, my name is Alvin. I work on the device API with Matt, Riley, and Jack, and Hongchen is my manager, and Mix is my manager too. Yeah, nice meeting you guys.
Austin? Hello.
Hey, Austin. At Google, I've been working with Riley on WebNN recently, but used to work on storage stuff, so excited to see all the progress with the file system observer and whatnot.
John Kleinschmidt?
I'm John Kleinschmidt. I run the Electron team at Microsoft and have worked on implementing some of the Fugu APIs into Electron.
June Her?
Hi, my name is Jun He from Microsoft Outlook team. I'm currently working on the web performance API.
Josh Bell?
Hey, just waiting for a microphone to kick in. Hey, I'm Joshua Bell, work at Google, and I think I've worked pretty closely with about 90% of the people here in this room or in this call. I love all the Fugu APIs. Most recently, I've been working with Riley and Austin on WebNN. and super excited for the most recent storage work that Steve Becker at Microsoft has been kicking off, digging up some old IndexedDB proposals. And I'm not officially here, so.
So go away. Laszlo, if you're with us.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Laszlo. I work for Samsung. Really good to see so many people here. I'm most excited about the foldable APIs and WebNN.
Me? Lehman?
Hey everyone, my name's Leeman. I'm a new PM lead on Microsoft working on the web apps. In my past life, I worked on WebView as well as the JavaScript engine. My favorite thing is VS Code, but it doesn't seem too original with some of my fellow folks from Microsoft. So I'm gonna say my favorite demo is somebody ported Windows 95 to the internet using WebAssembly, which is really cool.
Jilin?
Oh, Zealand, yeah.
Hey, hey, I'm Zealand. I work at Google. I work on isolated web apps with Robbie, but lately I've been working a lot on control frame API. Yeah.
I think that's all.
Yeah, that's the wrap. A lot of us are going to be here in person for lunch, and we can continue a lot of in-person conversations. Virtual attendees, thank you so much for joining. I'm going to throw the floor in your direction. Any question, call out, just statements people want to put in the mix? Can I put Laszlo on the spot? Laszlo, what's on your mind these days?
WebNN. Perhaps we can clarify, is WebNN considered part of Fugu?
Fugu is fuzzy. It's you can be excited about it. It's relevant enough to mention that you're excited here. So okay, that's good. Any other? I like the demo call outs. One thing I didn't hear mentioned is Facebook's Meta VR headsets now do firmware updates over the web. So that's kind of cool.
Web USB? Or Web Bluetooth?
Probably Web USB. I don't know. You plug it in. I don't have one, so I didn't try it. But if you just do a search for Quest VR firmware update or whatever, then you land on the official page, and they officially do it. Another one, Pixel Buds. So I mentioned that, but there's another not Pixel Buds. There's a Nothing brand, right? And so they make hardware. And there's someone made an unofficial Nothing earbuds tool, which is very similar to the Pixel Buds tool, but works with Nothing devices. What other fun newsy things have there been?
I'll plug my talk tomorrow. Anybody who wants to learn about
Today,
sorry.
Just this afternoon.
Afternoon, yeah.
1:10.
They did it. My computer did not run out of battery. But yeah, so talking about a lot of the things that we see in the wild, all the ways that people run into terrible problems and have unrecoverable situations, and also just other weirdness and gotchas from with how installable web apps work today.
I wanted to call out, I'm really excited to see Electron folks here. I'm excited to see support for Fugu APIs in Electron, because I think a lot of Electron developers sort of start with the node side of things and get access to file system and devices and all that stuff. And if we can bring the APIs we've built for Fugu into Electron as things that developers there can target, that just makes the whole sort of is it web, is it Electron thing just nice and fluid, and developers can move between them as sort of fits their whatever they want, which is really good from my perspective.
Yeah, that is great. Very short on time because we should be going to lunch. But here's a slide deck. Matt Reynolds, thank you for recently pulling some stats that are shareable. This is not as big as it could be, but good enough. Maybe the real point is the charts go up and to the right for most of the things. Bluetooth is kind of stabilized, but serial HID and USB, which is just a little tiny pocket of Fugu, right? But it's one that I just touched a lot individually, and I get excited when I walk into a classroom for my kids and they're doing all this like robotics or like STEM education. So much of that space has moved to using these APIs, and I just think that's really cool. Anyway, those APIs are up and to the right. They're moving along. So
something you don't see on this graph, because this cuts off at 2023, is when we released Serial and HID, there was a lot of pent-up demand for those because they very quickly grew up to really rival WebUSB. There's some very sort of ecosystem reasons why hardware vendors have chosen to use Serial or HID as sort of higher level protocols than USB, even for USB devices. And so like that was really exciting to see. They're now basically, they're probably going to end up higher than USB in the end.
In other quick demos, people who are at TPAC, there was a celebration for 30 years of TPAC. The father of the internet in Japan got up as part of the keynote presentations. And what did he do? He pulled out a web MIDI guitar. So that was pretty cool.
Vince, can I share one thing?
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, I'd love to hear this communities group on, like, people always ask, when are we done, right? When do we have all the capabilities we need? I just wanted to share, we recently did a MDN short survey. If you're not familiar, MDN short surveys, they're just like questions that can show up on WebDN for web developers. And the first question was, have you built a web app? Yes or no? About 30% said yes. And the next question was, let me get the actual text here. So make sure I get this right. In your experience, are web applications sufficiently capable to replace native apps on these platforms? And then by platform. This hasn't been published yet, but it's going to be published soon. I'm told it's okay to share.
Can you? Are you able?
I'm about to present.
Oh, okay.
This is what the slide looks like.
Oh.
So to me, it's just one survey. It's not a huge number of people, but I've just never seen this high-level picture before of how are we doing on making the web capable enough. I think it's a good maybe conversation starter for lunch.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sorry. What was the name of that survey?
It's an MDN short survey. It's how we do a lot of our like quick research on MDN.
Yeah.
But this will be published publicly soon, along with a bunch of comments that are quite interesting to read too.
Verbatims, yeah.
Yep.
The reason why like Mac and I was so similar is because those you didn't get 100% of people saying.
Oh, sorry. The last is I'm not sure is the remaining one that I didn't fill in there.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So there was a fourth option where people could just say I don't know.
Fascinating.
But yeah, fascinating. Wow. Thank you to everybody in this team. I'm in the room. It's due to many of you that we've got well over 50% of people saying that Windows and Android are very capable or completely capable of doing whatever they need to do on the web. So we should let's give you all a round of applause.
Cool. All right. Lunchtime?
Lunch, thanks.
Lunchtime.
Okay.
All right.